and welcome to the GEM Mobility Talent Resource Network information session. We're glad to see so many familiar faces and new faces joining us on the call today. I am Jacqueline Salazar. I am the GEM Employer Services Project Manager and one of your hosts or hostesses today. And I am joined by Karina Garza from our team, who is newly minted GEM Employer Navigator, and of course, Sandra Miller, our other seasoned GEM Employer Services Navigator, and that's just in length of time, not meant to be age. So I know many of you on the call today, are people that we are interacting with within the GEM universe, but of course we have some folks from outside of the GEM universe. So I just want to share a tiny bit of information about what GEM is. And GEM stands for the Global Epicenter of Mobility and is a Build Back Better Regional Challenge Award given to our Southeast Michigan region back in 2022. And the purpose of the grant is to serve the 11 county region in accelerating our economic growth by building on the region's mobility assets. And by its nature and by the organizations that are serving in the GEM pillars, we're all about business attraction, business retention, talent attraction, and talent retention in the mobility space for our region. So when we talk about mobility, the GEM pillars, and there are many of us in this work, we define mobility as the intentional engagement in or support of physical movement of people, goods, or information, and the technologies that support them, all in pursuit of social and economic opportunity. So let's talk about the Mobility Talent Resource Network. It was created to help bridge the talent service gap. This innovative program brings together talent service providers, which I know many of you who've joined us today have applied to be or are on our call today to be talent service providers. And we're joining them together with business applicant awardees to impact the trajectory of the businesses in this new and advanced mobility space. So let's talk about a business awardee. A business awardee is or would be a mobility business that has been approved to receive specialized services within one or more service categories. Our team will create opportunities for provider to awardee matchmaking with services funded by the network. The cost of the services is paid directly to the talent service provider. Which of course brings up the question, okay, how do we define a talent service provider? Talent service providers are eligible vendors who will offer services to the business awardees in any of the 6 service categories. The GEM team will create matchmaking opportunities for provider to awardee with services funded by the Mobility Talent Resource Network. So let's take a little bit of a deep dive into the service categories. There are 6 main service categories, and they include Business Resources Network, Global Talent Services, Human Resources Consulting, Inclusion Strategies, Talent Brand Strategies, and Talent Pipeline and Intelligence Management. So let's dive a little bit deeper in and say, okay, what are some of the subcategories that fall within those major categories? And, as an example for global talent, we could be talking about visa services. For inclusion strategies, we could be talking about inclusion assessments. Talent pipeline would be applicant tracking systems, human resource policies. It could be implementation of outdated policies, or if you're a brand new startup in the mobility space, it could be creating those policies from scratch for you. If you're a legacy business and you're trying to, grow your team and manage your team, it could be performance management systems, employee handbooks, optimized support services, strategic advisory services, Employee value propositions. So, from a talent brand strategy, how am I attracting new talent into my business? So creating those employee value propositions, brand communication plans, broadcasting your talent opportunities and what it means to be an employee at your company, social media engagement for talent strategies, and employee storytelling. So those are just some examples of these subcategories that fall within the 6 major service categories that we're offering in the network. And this is not an inclusive list. There are many more services. Our overall program can be found at the website that you see listed here, and Karina will drop that in the chat. And so when you link to that page, this is what the program page will look like. And you'll see Mobility Talent Resource Network. You'll see the icons for the 6 categories that we're addressing. And you can click on each of those categories to dive in a little bit deeper. And then when you scroll down on that page, you will see 2 links on the page, one for talent service providers, of course, and it'll be an apply here. There's also a link where you can read the full RFI for talent service providers. And then further down on the page, there's the link to apply for business awardees. And similarly, there is a link to read the entire request for application for business awardees. When you do click through on those apply here links, they're going to take you to a submittable page. And what we have done is contracted with a grant matchmaking portal. You'll go in and you'll create your account, your user ID and password, and then click through the application process. And for talent service providers and business applicant awardees, that initial application is all about eligibility determination and do you meet our eligibility criteria. So let's talk about what that criteria is. For business awardee applicants, in order to be eligible, number 1, you must be located in the GEM 11 County Southeast Michigan region, as indicated on the map that we showed earlier. You must align with the GEM definition of mobility. Again, it's that movement of people, goods, services, and the information and technology that support those businesses. Must be a business in good standing with the Internal Revenue Service and must be a business in good standing with the state of Michigan. And that just means no outstanding tax liens, or if there is something, that it is being managed on an active and ongoing basis. So let's talk about talent service providers. For talent service providers to be eligible, you must be a legally established business, a minimum of at least 2 years, or have a demonstrated subject matter expertise in the service category that you're attempting to provide. And we use the example of, if you're applying to be a talent service provider in the inclusion strategies field and you served as the supplier diversity or inclusion vice president over at a major tier 1 or OEM, that would be demonstrated subject matter expertise. Likewise, you must be a business in good standing with the Internal Revenue Service. You must be a business in good standing with the state of Michigan. You must have verifiable experience in any of the 6 talent service categories that we're offering. Doesn't mean you have to have experience in all of them, but at least one of them. And obviously you're checking that box through the application process. And typically we don't want you to be both a talent service provider and a business awardee. There's a possibility that there could be crossover, and if that were to take place, we would look at it on a case-by-case basis. So the following businesses are not eligible for awards, and those are firms that are engaged in activities that are prohibited by federal law or applicable law in the state of Michigan. Franchisees or franchise or corporate-owned franchises are not eligible. Not-for-profit organizations generally are not eligible, and firms not aligned with the mobility space per the GEM definition of mobility. And on the not-for-profit side, the difference is that one category that we're offering called business resource services or network services, that's a category where like our Michigan Works partners and nonprofit organizations may be able to support. So that's the asterisk category. So what are the project values? Well, because there's so many categories and subcategories of services, awards will range in value based on the service category and the level of service provided per award. So I am going to turn it over to our GEM navigator, Sandra Miller, and she will walk us through the process flow for business applicants. Sandra, if you would.
Yes, please. Thank you, Jacqueline. So step number 1 is you're going to create an account on the submittable site and complete the business awardee application form. We've tried to keep this one pretty basic with the information that we're looking for. Step number 2 is we determine your eligibility based on those few application guidelines, which was, are you in the 11 county GEM region? Are you do you meet the GEM mobility business definition and not having any state and federal liens, tax liens? Next step is eligible businesses will complete, through the submittable application, we will send you the project assessment form. So here we want to get those details about what you're looking for, what do you want to bring to your business right now. So you'll fill out the project assessment form and send it back to us again through that submittable site, and we will score that project assessment form. And based on that, you would maybe assigned a GEM navigator based on, again, that project assessment and the impact that it'll have on your business and the surrounding community. Step number 6 is where the matchmaking happens, a little magic happens. So the navigator is going to create the request for proposals. So the navigator will help the business kind of winnow down their project to what is their greatest need. And that'll be in one of those 6 categories that Jacqueline mentioned earlier. And that will then be sent to the talent service providers, the request for proposal, in the specific category that service provider is able to provide. So again, this all happens through the submittable application. The request for proposals come back and they are scored. And the business applicant does have a chance for input. The contract will be awarded to a talent service provider and a 3-party agreement is created. Then the project will get started based on the timelines that were listed in the RFP and everyone agreed upon. And then throughout the project, it'll be overseen by the the GEM navigator until completion. So we'll see you all the way through. Okay, when we're scoring the application or the project assessments, these are some of the things that we're looking for. What is your vision and plan for your business or how clear is your vision and plan for the business? And are you clearly articulating that to us? And that's worth 20 points. How strong is the business growth impact of this award for you to attract and retain talent? Again, up to 25 additional points. What is the community impact for the business, including benefits to historically excluded communities? Up to 25 points. I kind of lost my line there. And how much does your business need this based on the impact of all these new mobility changes from internal combustion engines to EV? So if you're a powertrain business, this is going to be a huge impact on your space. So that's up to 30 points. And an additional 10 points for HEC business status. Again, 110 points total. So of those 110 points, again, that is the maximum. And we are working down the priority list on the highest scoring projects. So 85 to 110 points is the highest priority, a high probability of your project match and project success. 70 to 84 is your mid priority. So it's a medium or median probability of a project match. And 69 points or lower is a lower priority on getting a project match. The other things that we're looking for is the impact of your project. Again, we're doing this because we want to really make mobility businesses get through this transition very successfully. So we want to know if this project is going to add new jobs for you. Are you going to be able to attract a more diverse workforce? Are you going to better serve underrepresented or HEC populations? Can we find some best practices out there to serve our communities? Can we help businesses impacted by this shift in EV transition? Do you need to attract or retain global talent? There are some very talented STEM international students. Sometimes they're available, and you might be able to attract them to your business. Obviously, we'd want to reduce turnover and increase retention of your current employees. And some of that is based on training. So one example is for a team member that gets promoted to team lead. They're going to need some additional supports on how to be a good leader or first line supervisor. We always want to increase brand awareness to promote manufacturing in the region. There are such exciting things happening in this space. And if we can make these mobility businesses really pop with their brand awareness, we can get more talent to come and stay in our region. Are we trying to create or advance your HR compliance? And are we implementing any career pathways to grow careers and retain employees in the mobility space? And that's all for me. So I'm going to turn it over to Karina Garza for the talent service provider process flow.
Thank you, Sandra. Hello, everybody. And I will be going over the talent service provider process flow step by step. So step 1, you're going to complete the request for information on submittable. Step 2, the eligibility determination completed is based on the criteria submitted. Step 3, the business awardee project is identified as a potential match to service category. Step 4, the request for proposal for the specific project is created and then disseminated. Step 5, the RFP responses are received and then scored by the GEM team. Step 6, the contract is awarded and agreements are signed on submittable. Step 7, the project commences with a kickoff meeting. And step 8, the project is overseen by a navigator until successful completion. And now I'm going to go over the project-specific requests for proposals that are scored up to the following point values. So past performances up to 20 points, description of deliverables up to 20 points, expertise and capacity 10 points, inclusionary practices 10 points, HEC ownership 5 points, timeline 20 points, and the total cost for the project 25 points, which leads to a total score maximum amount 110 points. And our MTRN informational flyer is available to be downloaded on myevjobs.org/MTRN. And for our GEM partners, you can access this flyer on our SharePoint. And now I'll turn it back over to Jacqueline. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina, so much. And Sandra, thank you as well, you guys. So One of the things that I want to talk about, and for those of you who have already submitted through the portal, because this is our second information session, is the unique entity identifier. And this is going to be a requirement for talent service providers who are selected to do projects. They're going to need to register on the federal government's System for Award Management, or otherwise AKA SAM, platform at sam.gov. And registration must be fully completed and the organization must be searchable on the site prior to the GEM team executing a contract with you. Providers that are listed on the sam.gov site with a status of debarred, suspended, or other unfavorable designation may be disqualified from consideration. And so if you have already applied to be a talent service provider and just want to get ahead of the curve, you could go ahead and follow the links to the sam.gov site and apply for a unique entity identifier now. If you don't already have one, I know that we've reviewed all of the applications thus far for talent service providers. And I know some folks have it and some don't. And you wouldn't necessarily have one if you have not applied to do business with the government in the past. And because we're dealing with federal dollars, that's the reason that it is a requirement in this initiative and project. We do have a great and robust frequently asked questions because we have both talent service providers and business applicant awardees. And that is available on this site as well. And Karina, mentioned it and dropped it in the chat. And it's got a
Just pick up the phone. Yeah.
It's got a great index, so you can just kind of search on the index and find your category of question. And so we will take a break here. That ends our PowerPoint presentation, and we'd love to answer any questions that you might have. So we're here to do that. Okay, I see the first. Let me see if that's the first one. David Robb, asking, is there a deadline for talent service providers to submit an application? The site is open and accepting. So we'll always be able to screen for new talent service providers. We're open to, even service providers who bring something new to the table as well. So as long as we have not fully allocated funds, we will keep the site open for both talent service providers and business applicant awardees.
Thank you, Jacqueline. One other question following up on that. When do you expect awards to begin to be matched up and offered?
Sure. So we are ready to publish a couple of requests for proposals for several businesses who have applied, been deemed eligible, and we've already scored and reviewed their project assessment. So we're ready to publish 3 requests for proposals at present. So we're ready to kick it off and rock and roll and get the ball moving, and pretty excited about it.
We have another question from Janine Gant from DRP. The question is, do you need to have a minority business certification?
No, you do not. In the submittable portal, businesses are checking, as they go through the application, they'll check what their HEC business status is, but we are not asking for certificates to be uploaded, nor for them to be certified, because there are businesses that that fit the category that haven't gone the certification process. So we're not requiring that they be certified.
Jen Tucker asks, great info. Do we have a limit on the number of awards or a certain dollar amount and or timeline are awards of different amounts.
Thank you, Jen. Glad to see you here today, by the way. So the award amount will vary by project. There could be a talent service provider award that is broader in scope for a business applicant or awardee, and so the dollar volume awarded to that project may be higher. So we're not defining the amount. We'll take it on a project by project basis. As far as the timeline, it'll be until all of the funds have been allocated, not necessarily disseminated, but allocated as we're awarding projects here and there throughout the network. Does that answer your question, Jen?
Makes total sense. Thank you. Just wanted
Awesome.
clarification.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
We have another question from Andres Salamanca Palaez. Can you elaborate a little more on the past performance element on the evaluation of service providers?
Yep, absolutely. Within the submittable tool, we're asking for business references for similar projects that you have conducted in whichever category it is that you apply for. And so we ask for, like a snapshot of the project, and then we ask for a reference. And so we will be reaching out to the references that you provide and then score it accordingly.
We do have another question from Carnita Hunt. Will published RFPs be emailed to service providers or posted on Submittable?
So the RFPs, I'm sorry, I was thinking of course, RFA and RFI, ladies, as you can appreciate. The request for proposal will go out to any of the talent service providers who are eligible in that service category.
Did she also want to know if it's coming through email or through Submittable?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, they will go out through the Submittable site. So all of the business is actually being transacted through the portal. So whether it's a project, obviously the initial application and determination of eligibility, the project assessment takes place within the Submittable portal, and the RFPs will be disseminated through the portal as well. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
No other questions? Does that mean we did a great job in covering all of the information? Yeah, we know, it's a lot, like I said, indicated, we have both talent service providers. We have a great number of talent service providers that have applied, and business applicants. So, different set of scoring, different process, a little bit different process flow for each. So we just want to be as transparent as possible. We are happy to answer any additional questions after this information session ends. You can reach any of our team members at, Karina, thank you. I see you getting at the ready, gem@semca.org. If you will, Karina, let them share that in the chat. And then all of us attend to that. We'd be happy to answer any additional questions as they come up to you, of course. All right. So go ahead, Sandra.
Someone asked about the slide deck. We will put this recording up on the MTRN site as soon as it's available, probably this afternoon. It will be up there, if not tomorrow morning.
Wonderful. Thanks. All right, all. Well, we are grateful that you attended our session today. We appreciate all of the folks who are on our call today and the applications that have been coming in. Of course, you have the links, you have the flyer. If you're a business partner, share it with the businesses out there so that we're spreading the word on this great opportunity. For our region, we're really excited to deliver these services and want to reach as many businesses as possible. So we thank you very, very much, and hope to hear from you all soon. Thank you.